today's episode, we're covering 5 people who were eaten alive during safari trips. From a honeymoon turned deadly in Botswana's waters to a travel vlogger's fatal mistake in shark-infested seas. But first, we start in Kruger National Park, where one photographer's quest for the perfect shot became her last. It was March 15, 2014, when the golden African sun began to rise over the vast wilderness of Kruger National Park in South Africa. The morning air was crisp and filled with the sounds of awakening wildlife as the savanna stretched endlessly in all directions, dotted with ancient baobab trees and thorny acacia bushes. This pristine landscape, home to Africa's most dangerous predators, would become the final destination for Rebecca Whitman, a 28-year-old wildlife photographer from Denver, Colorado. Rebecca had arrived in South Africa 2 weeks earlier on a self-funded expedition to build her portfolio for National Geographic submissions. Known among her peers for her fearless approach to wildlife photography, she specialized in capturing intimate moments with Africa's most dangerous animals. Her freelance career depended on getting shots that others wouldn't dare attempt, often pushing the boundaries of safety to achieve the perfect frame. Local park rangers had repeatedly warned her about venturing too close to predator territories. But Rebecca's determination to capture award-winning images often overrode their cautionary advice. She had been growing increasingly frustrated with the distant shots she was getting from her vehicle, believing that truly spectacular photographs required taking calculated risks. Her camping permit allowed her to stay in the designated areas for extended periods, giving her multiple opportunities to study animal behavior patterns and identify the best photographic opportunities. African lions are apex predators weighing up to 420 pounds, capable of reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour in short bursts. These magnificent cats possess night vision 6 times better than humans and can detect movement from over a mile away. Their powerful jaws generate a bite force of 650 pounds per square inch, while their retractable claws can grow up to 1.5 inches long. Lions are opportunistic hunters that typically feed during dawn and dusk, making early morning one of the most dangerous times to encounter them on foot. Male lions are particularly territorial and aggressive when protecting their pride's kill from scavengers or perceived threats. At 5:45 a.m., Rebecca made her fatal mistake by leaving her vehicle to track a pride of lions on foot, directly violating park regulations. She had discovered a fresh zebra kill and positioned herself behind a large termite mound approximately 40 yards from where the pride was feeding. Her camera equipment was set up perfectly to capture the lions in their natural feeding behavior. As she adjusted her telephoto lens, the camera's motor drive made a soft mechanical clicking sound that immediately caught the attention of a massive male lion who had just finished eating. The 400-pound male's head snapped toward Rebecca's position, his amber eyes locking onto her location with predatory focus. Rebecca froze behind her viewfinder, continuing to photograph as the lion began stalking toward her in a low, deliberate crouch. His powerful muscles rippled beneath his golden coat as he moved with deadly precision through the tall grass, covering ground silently with each calculated step. The lion's ears were pinned forward, his tail twitching with anticipation as he closed the distance between himself and what he perceived as a threat to his pride's meal. When the lion reached 15 yards from Rebecca's position, he suddenly exploded into a full charge with devastating speed. Rebecca attempted to retreat but stumbled backward over her camera bag, falling helplessly to the ground. The massive cat launched himself through the air, striking her chest with both front paws and driving her flat against the hard earth. His razor-sharp claws, each nearly 2 inches long, penetrated deep into her torso, puncturing through her ribs and into her lung cavity. The lion's powerful jaws immediately clamped down on Rebecca's throat with crushing force. His 4-inch canine teeth punctured through her carotid artery and windpipe simultaneously, causing massive hemorrhaging and cutting off her air supply. The lion's bite completely crushed her trachea while his claws continued raking across her chest and abdomen. opening deep lacerations that exposed her internal organs. Rebecca's body convulsed violently as blood loss and asphyxiation occurred simultaneously, her cardiovascular system failing rapidly under the massive trauma. Within 2 minutes, all movement had ceased. The lion maintained his grip on her throat for several more seconds before releasing his hold and beginning to feed. He started with her abdominal area, using his powerful jaws and sharp teeth to tear through flesh and consume the soft tissue organs. The feeding continued for over an hour, before the lion rejoined his pride at the original zebra kill. Park rangers discovered Rebecca's abandoned camera equipment 2 days later, leading to an extensive search that eventually located her partially consumed remains 200 yards from her original position. The investigation concluded that she had violated multiple park safety regulations by leaving her vehicle and approaching dangerous wildlife on foot. Her death sparked renewed discussions about photographer safety protocols in African national parks. Rebecca Whitman's story showed how quickly a lion can turn deadly when safety barriers are broken. For Taylor McKinney, it wasn't the king of beasts, but an ancient predator beneath Botswana's waters. It was August 22, 2016, when the sun hung high over the pristine waterways of the Okavango Delta in Botswana, casting shimmering reflections across the maze of channels that snake through this UNESCO World Heritage Site. The delta's crystal-clear waters were deceptively calm, hiding one of Africa's most dangerous predators beneath their tranquil surface. This aquatic paradise, where papyrus reeds sway gently in the breeze and colorful kingfishers dart between lily pads, would become the final destination for Taylor McKinney, a 31-year-old investment banker from Chicago, Illinois. Taylor had arrived in Botswana with his new wife Sarah for their dream honeymoon, a 2-week luxury safari adventure through some of Africa's most spectacular wilderness areas. Known among his friends for his competitive swimming background and overconfident attitude around water, Taylor often took unnecessary risks to impress others, especially his bride. The couple had booked an exclusive Makoko safari, traveling through the delta's narrow channels in traditional dugout canoes guided by local experts. Their experienced guide had repeatedly warned them about the crocodile-infested waters and emphasized the critical importance of never entering the water under any circumstances. The delta's intricate network of channels and lagoons provided perfect hunting grounds for Nile crocodiles, and the guide's warnings carried the weight of decades of experience in these treacherous waters. Nile crocodiles are among Africa's most formidable predators, capable of growing up to 20 feet in length and weighing over 1,500 pounds. These ancient reptiles possess one of the strongest bite forces in the animal kingdom, generating up to 3,700 pounds of pressure per square inch. Their powerful jaws contain 64 to 68 sharp canonical teeth designed for gripping and tearing flesh. Crocodiles are ambush predators that can remain motionless underwater for up to an hour, perfectly camouflaged against the muddy bottom. When they strike, they can accelerate from 0 to 25 miles per hour in a single explosive burst, making escape virtually impossible for their victims. At 6:30 p.m., as the golden hour light painted the delta in warm hues, Taylor made his fatal mistake. Sarah's expensive camera had slipped from their Makoko and sunk into 4 feet of murky water in a narrow channel. Despite their guide's urgent warnings and Sarah's pleas, Taylor dove into the crocodile-infested waters to retrieve the camera. The recent rains had stirred up sediment, limiting underwater visibility to less than 2 feet. Taylor's confident swimming strokes and splashing movements created vibrations that traveled through the water, alerting every predator in the vicinity to his presence. A massive 14-foot Nile crocodile had been lying motionless on the channel bottom, perfectly camouflaged among the fallen logs and debris. The 800-pound reptile had been waiting patiently for prey when Taylor's disturbance triggered its predatory instincts. As Taylor dove down searching for the camera, his legs kicking frantically in the murky water, the crocodile began its approach from directly below. The ancient predator moved with deadly precision, its powerful tail propelling it upward through the water column. The crocodile struck with devastating force, its massive jaws clamping down on Taylor's left leg just above the knee. The crushing bite force of 3,700 pounds per square inch instantly shattered his femur and crushed the surrounding muscle tissue. Taylor's scream was cut short as the crocodile immediately initiated its infamous death roll, a hunting technique perfected over millions of years of evolution. The massive reptile spun rapidly in the water, twisting Taylor's body like a rag doll while maintaining its bone-crushing grip. The violent rotation snapped Taylor's femur completely and dislocated his hip joint within the first 3 rolls. His body was dragged deeper underwater with each spin, and the muddy water quickly turned crimson with blood from his catastrophic injuries. The crocodile's serrated teeth acted like saw blades, tearing through muscle, tendons, and blood vessels as it continued its relentless death roll. After 6 complete rotations, the reptile's teeth had severed Taylor's femoral artery, causing massive hemorrhaging that clouded the water in a spreading pool of red. Water rushed into Taylor's lungs as he was held underwater, his body spinning helplessly in the crocodile's grip. The combination of drowning, massive blood loss, and traumatic shock caused his cardiovascular system to fail rapidly. Within 3 minutes, all movement had ceased. The crocodile maintained its grip for several more seconds before dragging Taylor's lifeless body toward deeper water, where it disappeared beneath the surface to begin feeding in the safety of its underwater lair. Botswana wildlife authorities launched an extensive search and recovery operation, but Taylor's remains were never found despite days of intensive efforts. The investigation concluded that he had ignored explicit safety warnings and entered dangerous waters during peak crocodile activity hours. His death prompted renewed safety protocols for Makoko operations throughout the Delta, with stricter enforcement of water entry prohibitions. Taylor McKinley's tragedy showed how quickly the Delta's tranquil waters can turn deadly when safety warnings are ignored. For Olivia Harrington, it wasn't ancient reptiles that proved fatal, but Kenya's golden grasslands where Africa's apex predator reigns. It was June 8, 2017 when the morning sun cast long shadows across the endless golden grasslands of the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya. The vast savanna stretched to the horizon, punctuated by scattered acacia trees and rocky outcroppings that provided shelter for countless species of African wildlife. This iconic landscape, where the great wildebeest migration thunders across ancient plains, would become the final destination for Olivia Harrington, a 22-year-old recent college graduate from Portland, Oregon. Olivia had traveled to Kenya with 3 college friends to celebrate their graduation, embarking on what they believe would be the adventure of a lifetime. As a pre-veterinary student passionate about wildlife conservation, she had dreamed of experiencing Africa's magnificent animals in their natural habitat. Known among her friends for her impulsive nature and desire to get close to wildlife for the perfect photograph, Olivia often acted on emotion rather than caution. The group had booked a budget camping safari with minimal professional supervision. Their local guides had repeatedly explained the extreme danger of approaching lions, especially during the early morning hours when these apex predators were most active. African lions are the undisputed rulers of the savanna, with adult females weighing up to 280 pounds and possessing incredible speed and agility. These apex predators can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour in short bursts and leap distances of up to 36 feet. Their powerful jaws generate a bite force of 650 pounds per square inch, while their retractable claws can extend up to 1.5 inches in length. Lionesses are particularly dangerous when protecting cubs, as their maternal instincts override all other considerations, making them willing to attack any perceived threat regardless of size. At 6:15 a.m., as the Kenyan sunrise painted the grasslands in shades of golden amber, Olivia spotted a lioness with two small cubs resting beneath a large acacia tree. The scene appeared peaceful and photogenic, exactly the type of intimate wildlife moment she had traveled thousands of miles to capture. Against the urgent protest of her three friends who remained safely by their safari vehicle, Olivia approached on foot with her camera, determined to get close-up shots of the cubs for her wildlife photography portfolio. The 280-pound lioness immediately recognized the approaching threat and stood to position herself between Olivia and her vulnerable offspring. At 30 yards distance, the lioness began displaying unmistakable signs of aggression. Her ears flattened against her skull, her tail lashed violently from side to side, and low, rumbling growls emanated from deep within her chest. These were clear warning signals that any experienced guide would have recognized as an immediate call to retreat. But Olivia continued advancing, focused entirely on capturing the perfect shot through her camera viewfinder. When Olivia reached 20 yards from the cubs, the lioness's protective instincts overrode any remaining tolerance. Without further warning, she launched into a devastating charge, her powerful muscles propelling her across the distance at maximum speed. The lioness covered the 20-yard gap in less than 3 seconds, reaching her top speed of 35 miles per hour as she closed in on what she perceived as a mortal threat to her cubs. Olivia turned to flee but managed only 4 desperate steps before the lioness struck her from behind with tremendous force. The cat's front paws, each weighing over 30 pounds, hit Olivia's back like sledgehammers, driving her face first into the hard-packed earth with bone-crushing impact. The lioness's razor-sharp claws, extended to their full 1.5-inch length, raked across Olivia's spine, tearing through her clothing and flesh to reach the vertebrae beneath. The lioness's powerful jaws immediately clamped down on the back of Olivia's neck, her 4-inch canine teeth penetrating through skin, muscle, and into the cervical spine. The crushing bite force of 650 pounds per square inch instantly fractured the C3 vertebra, severing Olivia's spinal cord and causing immediate paralysis from the neck down. The lioness shook her massive head violently from side to side, causing catastrophic damage to the surrounding tissue and blood vessels. The violent shaking motion tore through Olivia's carotid arteries and jugular veins, causing massive hemorrhaging that quickly pooled beneath her motionless body. Her cardiovascular system began failing rapidly as blood pressure dropped to critical levels. Within 4 minutes, cardiac arrest occurred due to the combination of spinal cord trauma, massive blood loss, and shock. The lioness maintained her grip for several more minutes before releasing her hold. After confirming that Olivia posed no further danger to her cubs, the lioness began feeding on the soft tissue areas, starting with the abdominal region. Her friends, who had fled to their vehicle in terror, waited 45 minutes before the lioness and her cubs moved away from the scene, allowing them to approach and discover Olivia's partially consumed remains. Kenyan wildlife authorities conducted a thorough investigation that concluded Olivia had violated fundamental safari safety protocols by approaching dangerous wildlife on foot. Her death prompted renewed emphasis on tourist education programs throughout Kenya's national parks. Olivia Harrington's story revealed how maternal instincts transform Africa's queens into merciless killers when cubs are threatened. For Stephanie Rowland, it wasn't a protective mother, but Tanzania's most feared hunters stalking through darkness. It was October 14th, 2018, when the African sun began its descent toward the horizon over the vast plains of Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. The golden grasslands stretched endlessly in all directions, dotted with scattered acacia trees and rocky hope trees that served as vantage points for the park's apex predators. As twilight approached, the sounds of the African wilderness grew more intense, signaling the beginning of the nocturnal hunting period. This legendary landscape would become the final destination for Stephanie Rowland, a 35-year-old elementary school teacher from Austin, Texas. Stephanie had traveled to Tanzania with her husband Mark and their 2 children, ages 8 and 10, on what was meant to be an educational safari adventure. Known for her protective maternal instincts and hands-on teaching approach, she had spent months planning this trip to give her children a real-world education about African wildlife. The family had booked a guided camping safari that allowed them to experience the wilderness more intimately. Their experienced guide had repeatedly emphasized the critical importance of staying near their vehicle at all times, especially during dawn and dusk when lions are most active. African lions are the ultimate nocturnal predators, with adult females weighing up to 300 pounds and possessing extraordinary night vision that is 6 times more sensitive than human eyesight. These apex predators hunt primarily during twilight and nighttime hours, using coordinated pack tactics perfected over thousands of years. Their powerful jaws generate a crushing bite force of 650 pounds per square inch, while their retractable claws can extend up to 1.5 inches in length. Lions are capable of moving completely silently through tall grass, making them virtually undetectable until the moment they strike, at 7:45 p.m. As darkness settled over the Serengeti, Stephanie made her fatal mistake. She left the safety of their campsite to use the designated bathroom located 100 yards away from their tents. The sun had set 30 minutes earlier, and visibility was severely limited in the fading twilight. Despite her husband's concerns, Stephanie walked confidently along the familiar path, having made this same trip several times without incident. A pride of lions have been hunting in the area throughout the evening, and the scent of humans from the nearby campsite had attracted their attention. 2 lionesses had positioned themselves strategically along the path, using the tall grass and scattered bushes as perfect camouflage. Their golden coats blended seamlessly with the dried savanna grass, making them virtually invisible in the dim light. Stephanie was 50 yards from the bathroom facilities when she heard rustling in the grass to her left. She stopped and peered into the darkness, unable to see the 300-pound lioness crouched just 15 yards away. The predator had been tracking her scent and movement for several minutes, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As Stephanie turned to continue walking, the lioness detected the movement and prepared to attack. The second lioness had circled around behind Stephanie, positioning herself for a coordinated assault. When Stephanie resumed walking, both cats moved simultaneously. The first lioness charged from the left side, covering the 15-yard distance in less than 2 seconds at full speed. Her powerful muscles propelled her through the air in a devastating leap that struck Stephanie in the torso with tremendous force. The impact knocked Stephanie sideways to the ground, and the lioness's razor-sharp claws immediately raked across her shoulder and neck area. The 4-inch claws penetrated deep into her flesh, severing major blood vessels and causing massive hemorrhaging. Before Stephanie could react, the second lioness arrived and seized her legs, preventing any possibility of escape. The first lioness repositioned her attack, clamping her powerful jaws down on Stephanie's throat with crushing force. Her 4-inch canine teeth punctured through skin and muscle, penetrating the carotid artery and jugular veins simultaneously. The bite force of 650 pounds per square inch completely crushed her windpipe, cutting off her air supply instantly. Both lionesses used their combined weight of 600 pounds to pin Stephanie's body completely to the ground. The first lioness maintained their grip on the throat while shaking her massive head from side to side, causing maximum damage to the vital structures in her neck. The violent shaking motion tore through muscle tissue, blood vessels, and nerve pathways, causing catastrophic trauma. Stephanie's cardiovascular system began failing rapidly as blood pressure dropped to critical levels due to the severed arteries. The combination of massive blood loss, crushed windpipe, and traumatic shock caused her to lose consciousness within 90 seconds. Cardiac arrest occurred shortly afterward as her body succumbed to the multiple traumatic injuries. The lioness immediately began feeding, starting with the soft abdominal area. They dragged portions of her body over 200 yards from the original attack site, scattering the remains across a wide area as they consumed their prey throughout the night. When Stephanie failed to return to camp, her family raised the alarm, and searchers were dispatched immediately. Tanzanian wildlife authorities conducted a comprehensive investigation that concluded she had violated fundamental safety protocols by traveling alone after dark during peak predator activity hours. Her death prompted stricter enforcement of campsite safety rules throughout Serengeti National Park. Stephanie Rowland's tragedy showed how quickly Tanzania's darkness can turn deadly when safety protocols are ignored. For Angela Corbett, it wasn't the savanna's night hunters, but the ocean's apex predator lurking beneath South African waters. It was April 3rd, 2019, when the early morning sun cast shimmering reflections across the pristine waters surrounding Gansbaai, South Africa, a coastal town renowned as the great white shark capital of the world. The Atlantic Ocean stretched endlessly toward the horizon, its deep blue surface concealing one of nature's most formidable predators in the depths below. This legendary marine wilderness would become the final destination for Angela Corbett, a 29-year-old travel blogger and social media influencer from Los Angeles, California. Angela had arrived in South Africa as part of her solo African wildlife documentation project, traveling alone to maintain complete creative control over her content. Known among her 50,000 Instagram followers for taking extreme risks to capture unique footage, she had built her brand on increasingly dangerous adventures that pushed safety boundaries. Her freelance career depended entirely on generating viral content that would maintain audience engagement and attract lucrative sponsorship deals. Angela had booked an exclusive shark cage diving expedition with one of Gansbaai's premier operators. The dive operators had conducted a comprehensive safety briefing, repeatedly emphasizing the absolute importance of remaining inside the protective steel cage at all times while underwater. Great white sharks are the ocean's ultimate apex predator, capable of growing up to 20 feet in length and weighing over 5,000 pounds. These ancient killing machines possess rows of razor-sharp triangular teeth that can exert a bite force of up to 4,000 pounds per square inch, powerful enough to crush bone and tear through flesh with devastating efficiency. Their torpedo-shaped bodies are perfectly designed for explosive bursts of speed, allowing them to accelerate from 0 to 25 miles per hour in seconds when attacking prey. Great whites possess extraordinary sensory capabilities, including the ability to detect electrical fields and trace amounts of blood in the water from miles away. At 10:30 a.m., as the dive boat reached the prime great white territory near Seal Island, Angela made her fatal mistake. After 20 minutes of filming through the protective cage bars, she decided that the footage wasn't dramatic enough for her social media audience. Despite frantic signals from the dive master and horrified protests of other divers, Angela opened the cage door and swam out into open water with her waterproof camera, determined to capture unprotected footage of the circling sharks. Multiple great white sharks ranging from 12 to 16 feet in length had been attracted to the area by chum and seal decoys. A massive 15-foot female had been circling the cage for several minutes, displaying classic hunting behavior that experienced operators recognized as extremely dangerous. The shark's movements had become increasingly agitated and focused, indicating heightened predatory interest. Angela's erratic swimming movements and electrical signals generated by her camera equipment immediately triggered the shark's predatory response. The great white detected these abnormal patterns and identified Angela as potential prey, switching from curious investigation to active hunting mode. The shark began approaching from below, using the classic attack strategy that had made great whites the ocean's most feared predators. The great white struck Angela from below with tremendous force, its jaws opening to reveal multiple rows of triangular serrated teeth. The shark's mouth, measuring over 2 feet in width, clamped down on Angela's torso with crushing power. The initial bite force of 4,000 pounds per square inch instantly crushed her ribcage, puncturing both lungs and causing massive internal damage to her vital organs. The shark's razor-sharp teeth, each measuring up to 2.5 inches in length, penetrated deep into Angela's chest cavity, severing major blood vessels and causing catastrophic hemorrhaging. Her wetsuit provided no protection against the shark's bone-crushing bite, tearing like paper under the immense pressure. The great white's powerful jaws compressed her torso, fracturing multiple ribs and causing her sternum to collapse completely. Angela's body went into immediate traumatic shock as her cardiovascular system began failing rapidly. The shark maintained its grip for several seconds before releasing her briefly, only to attack again with even greater ferocity. The second bite targeted her legs and lower torso, the shark's teeth slicing through muscle, bone, and major arteries with surgical precision. Blood in the water immediately attracted 2 additional great whites to the feeding event, creating a frenzied attack that lasted several minutes. The sharks took turns attacking different parts of Angela's body, their powerful jaws systematically consuming flesh and limbs. Angela lost consciousness within 60 seconds due to massive blood loss and traumatic shock. The feeding frenzy continued for approximately 8 minutes before the sharks dispersed, leaving no recoverable remains. Angela's waterproof camera was found floating on the surface, its memory card containing the final footage of the shark's approach and initial strike before the recording ended abruptly. South African maritime authorities launched a comprehensive investigation, concluding that Angela had violated all established safety protocols by exiting the protective cage in shark-infested waters. Her death prompted immediate reviews of cage diving safety procedures throughout the region. Angela Corbett's tragedy demonstrated how the ocean's apex predator shows no mercy to those who venture beyond safety barriers. Her story marked the final chapter in a series of fatal wildlife encounters that shocked the safari community, each serving as a stark reminder of nature's unforgiving power when humans underestimate the deadly capabilities of the world's most dangerous predators. If these stories shocked you, click the next video for even more deadly wildlife encounters that will leave you speechless.